Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome, Penny Van. Hello there, Rebecca, Gary Spikes, Kyle Smith. How you doing there, Chris?
Good evening. Happy Monday. How you doing?
Happy Monday. Oh, doing good. So what we got going on tonight?
Well, we got a guest, one of our chat members. Standing Stone's going to join us tonight. We're going to talk about some stone structures. And some of them megaliths, some of them not. But I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation, and he's going to join me with it. And we're going to have some fun discussion tonight.
All right, Standing Stones, come on. Welcome, sir. How you doing?
Hey, Grizz. Hey, Chris.
Hello there. Welcome.
I'm really, really happy to be on the show. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the show. Been watching Grizz for quite a while now, I guess. And
yeah, you have.
And Chris, the other Chris, is just like my buddy. You know, I really think you got the boots on the ground down in Florida doing the work. And Grizz is on the other end, putting a lot of stuff out there for people to open their minds out. Right. You know, you got to have an open mind. I mean, take what you want in and, you know, filter things through, but do your own research.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Definitely. So we were going to talk about some things that open your mind. Some of the stuff you may know, some of it may not know. Some of it's big, some of it's small, some of it's to just educate a little bit, and we throw some things that make you go out there for you. So let me pull up the presentation here. I've got a little bit of a slideshow because we've got quite a few slides, so I want to make sure we get through it all without running out of time. All right, so stone structures, and this one actually, the very first one I added. Justin threw a comment out the other day. It was called Rock Ship over in Japan, and I didn't do much diving onto it, but I just looked it up and I used that as a cover, and it's a pretty interesting. But just kind of look at that stone for a second, and I'll bounce back to this later on. But there's some other things that we'll be showing that looks kind of similar to it.
Yeah. People think that there's another part that would fit right in that, you know.
Yep,
it's a big elevation in Japan.
So Stonehenge is a big one. Everybody knows Stonehenge. It's nothing new, but I thought it'd be cool just to pull it up and throw some interesting facts on it out there. So that thing's estimated to be 4,500 years old. It's pretty old. Constructed in stages over a period of 1,500 years. So it went in phases, apparently. And the earliest construction was dated 3,100 BC. And is believed to serve as a religious or ceremonial site, possibly used for rituals and burials and astronomical observations.
Yeah, it was on the Salisbury Plain, I believe they said.
Yes.
And there was also some wooden piles around it. They have like a Woodhenge also, different areas over there.
So the stone arrangement, the large standing stones, sounds like a name I know of.
Yeah.
The sarins is what they're called, and they're topped with lintels. And inside the circle, the smaller stones are called the blue stones, and they're believed to have been brought from Wales 150 miles away. They are aligned with movements of the sun in position for winter and summer solstice. And as the solstice hits, the sun will go in between certain phases. And there's an outer stone that actually lines up with those phases as well.
Yeah, and you see that throughout the world, actually, even in New Hampshire, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? The astronomical relations to a lot of these things. That's the summer solstice, and you can see they have little festivals and gatherings during these points in times. So the transportation and erection of the massive stones at the Stonehenge remain remarkable feat for ancient engineering. The exact methods used by the Neolithic people to transport and position the stones is still not fully understood. How did they do it? Nobody knows,
Yeah, it's
right?
still there's always going to be conjecture on how they did that. How, did they pull them with sledges? They call them. Rolled them on wood logs. But what a gargantuan effort to do that.
Yeah. And to be able to make it all line up with the solstices. So a lot of engineering and thought taken on that. So the Saturn stones, which the bigger ones are estimated to weigh 25 to 30 tons, which is 60,000 pounds, and the equivalent to 3 school buses in weight. I've got a theme with school buses, so you'll see that coming up. Blue stones weigh up to 4 tons, which is still pretty heavy. And the heel stone, which is the biggest, I guess the outside one, is 16 foot tall and 30 tons. Pretty
Yeah,
wild.
a lot of the 90% of those lintel stones have come off the top. And if you ever see a close up of the top, they usually have like a little dome carved out of the stone itself. And then on the flat lintels, the horizontal lintels, they had little indentations that would fit perfectly to hold those in place. But I mean, over the thousands of years, they've either cracked or come apart or pulled off.
So that was it for Stonehenge, because it's just a short one. Like I said, everybody knows pretty much about it. But one of my favorite ones is the Machu Picchu in Peru. As you can see, this, they call it like a fortress, essentially, is 60% of it is not even visible. It's underground and all around. So only 40% is actually shown. And they actually have it closed off. You cannot go into it for unknown reasons. They don't tell you. They just don't have it, access to it.
Yeah. So what the concern, people say about it is, now whether it's true or not, it was built around 1450 AD. They call it an Inca citadel, and they think it was a possible estate for the emperor back then. And it was used and supposedly abandoned at the time of the Spanish when they came over in 1540s. And it did not get rediscovered in our time, I guess, till I was looking at this 1911. There was a Hiram Bingham. He went down there and spoke to some local people, and he was looking for, like they do, structures, trinkets, and they took him up to the top of this mountain, and it's 7,970 feet high. And I know people that go down there, they have to be acclimated to the height, because you can get sick and get the bends and all that. So I know people went down there, and that's what they had to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a trek to get there, and it's a 90-minute, pretty strenuous hike to get up to the actual structure from where they bust, I guess, from down below.
It makes you think of, what did they do for water? I mean, did they collect water from the rain? Or, I mean, I don't think they could drill down. So that's another thing. They must have carried water up, but everything
I
is
think
conjecture.
they must have collected it, because the structure is built to where it allows water to go through and come out at certain spots. It's almost like it's got weep holes, essentially. So they
Okay.
probably collected it from those points. So this is if you look up Google, and this is part of the somewhat of the conspiracy, I guess you can say. If you look it up, it'll say the Inca, and pretty much anywhere you search the Inca Empire, it's everything's pointed to the Inca Empire, which they did live there, Machu Picchu. But they state it's a testament to the power and ingenuity of their building skills. Right, they built this without the use of mortar, metal tools, or the wheel. Say that again. They built this
Yeah.
without the use of mortar, metal tools, or the wheel. Continuing on. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, I got a short little video I want to throw up. And share. And it's just a quick one, but it's like 30 seconds. No, it's about 2 or 3 minutes, but it kind of recaps some of that, and that's why I want to point it out. I don't know if this. Let me stop my screen because I didn't share the sound. Do it again. Oops. Come on. There we go. Let me know if you hear it. I'm going to stop that one there, but continue.
And more questions than answers, you know. And you could see there in some of the construction, the lower stones were put there by the Inca, and then it was kind of rebuilt, kind of for the tourists. And they used smaller stones, different technique, stacking them on top of the original, those big base stones.
And we'll now get into that a little bit more here.
Okay.
The Machu Picchu, now if you research it and it'll come up, Machu Picchu is older than expected, study reveals. So they'd been doing some radiocarbon dating. And the funny thing is, on some of these that you pull up on Google, again, say, oh, it's 20 years older than we thought. 20 years old. Is that even significant to even write a story about this? So it did a little more digging, but that one's on Yale. There's a bunch of them. I found one from Smithsonian saying the same thing. It was all like carbon copy, Mockingbird Media type of stuff. It was all the same story, literally almost word for word. But they literally would say, if you read it, 20 years older. I found a publication on this from UCLA talking about the radiocarbon dating, and I've even got the link, and I'll show you that. And it states new radiocarbon dates confirm an evident possibility that Machu Picchu was not an Inca foundation on a wholly new site and give a first indication of the duration of the citadel's previous occupation. So they're stating that somebody else built this. They occupied it. And there's also, I've read somewhere and I couldn't find it, but there's also past Incas somewhere that they've basically announced or said that they never built it. They just occupied it. So this is going to kind of back all that up too. So here's another part of the page. They're associating this belong roughly into the 1000 BC range. Incas weren't there until what, 1450?
Yep.
The Incas were 1450 AD. They're carbon dating stuff to 1000 BC. There's over 2000 year range there.
And that goes with the whole coming over the land bridge from Alaska. You know, they said 14 to 15,000 years ago, but now it's been found out that they had actually people from the Polynesian islands come into Peru and Chile in South America because they found the DNA in some of the tribes down there that don't have too much blood mixture, but they have that in common with the islanders that came this way.
Yeah.
So everything you hear, you got to think it over. And
this is what you're talking about, Stan, about the previous work done. You can see the original structure and where the Incas did do some work because there were earthquake damages, etc. You can see the difference in work night and day. I mean, these stones, you can literally can't even slide a piece of paper between them, and there's no mortar whatsoever. It is like they're made to fit. And I would bet, and you're going to see pictures that I don't think they could replicate this stuff to today's date without lasers. And I mean, to create some of the structure would be next to impossible, I think.
Because if you actually look at the bottom row there, Chris, you can see how it's like a wedge, and it's made to make those ones above it level.
Yep.
On that particular grade right there, the one to the far right is a lot taller.
Yeah, look how big it is, and it wedges down to almost nothing here.
Yeah, so they set that in place so the next course would be level, so they could go up.
Mm-hmm. And all these are very well created, and some of them are like laser cut deficiencies. Um, this is just one picture. That's a little bit of a zoom in. Here's the size of some of these, and notice the roundness and where the joints are. How everything is just rounded out. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here. The future, same thing here. You can kind of see how they're rounded, and I mean, look how tight these things are, and just incredible. And the fact that they're different shapes.
Yeah, they're like a poly. I don't know if it's polygon. Some of them, and like they said earlier, if they get an earthquake, they tend to stay there. They can wiggle and get back in place. Where
There's
if they were
no mortar.
Straight horizontal and vertical, they would topple.
Right, correct. So these are very large stones again, tons. Some of them weigh multiple tons. Taking from, I want to say it was about 50 miles away. The granite came from, not even from right there. But yet they didn't have wheels. Up a mountain. I don't know.
Yeah, how did they
Sure
do
about
that?
that one. So here you can see this one's got a little bit of structure damage from earthquakes and whatnot. But look at the angles that's created here. You know, at one point in time, this was probably quite an amazing structure.
Chris, I was unaware that they had a lot of. You said there was some underground stuff there too. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, 60% of it's underground. This one is a picture from a town not too far away, but it's not in Machu Picchu, but very similar kind of construction. Look at these wedges. They're just so tight. It's unreal.
And there's those bumps you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. This is another wall. Same thing. I can't remember the name of the town. It's some crazy name. Starts with an O, but it's not too far away. It's down the same ridge of Peru. It's in Peru. And these can be found. And something else I want to point out, that a lot of these walls are not straight up and down vertical like how we build with block or steel structures are usually vertical plumb. These are actually built at an angle, so the base is further out than the top, which creates better stability for earthquakes and just, I guess, longevity as well. Again, just looking at this here, again, you can see where they changed. It goes from one kind of building to very rough, not very good construction.
Prospecting wants to know, did they ever find any treasures there?
Don't know. I don't think so. I know they've found some catacombs and some bodies and stuff like that, or skeletons and remains. So that's what they were doing the radio and carbon dating with. And just look at this precision. It's wild. Again, here you'll see one kind of construction and then turns into a whole nother construction. Doesn't even look the same. That would be the Incas.
They've floated theories out there about this type of construction, that they actually were able to melt the stone and somehow build it like the way they wanted.
Glad you said that, because that's one of the, I mean, there might be some technologies that are well beyond our knowledge here, but if I heard something to compare it to, if you stack a whole bunch of marshmallows and you take them and you push them down, it'll kind of belly out, right?
Yeah.
Does that not give you that kind of appearance here? So what's the difference between stone and marshmallows? Marshmallows are soft. In order to do that, that stone would probably have to be soft at some point in time. Well, they poured in place like this, or they molted?
Yeah, just think what it would take to cut it that shape. Would they cut it off site and bring it there and then put it up? Or would they cut it next to the wall they're building?
That would be impossible.
blows me away.
Impossible to be that laser precise at the technology that was given back then. This was done by something ancient. I'm in construction. I see it every day. I know what we can do, and to a degree, I don't think we could do. I don't think we could even replicate this if we wanted to. It's just pretty.
What do you
mind-blowing.
think, Riz? What do you think about it?
I think they had some kind of technology because, I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a puzzle that was
Right?
put together intentionally. So
I agree.
I mean, if you look at that one stone, it looks like a Tetris puzzle. It's an L shape. One over, Chris. One over.
Oh,
nope,
one.
right
Yeah.
there. That one. See how it goes up and over?
Yeah.
I mean, how would you find a stone like that?
You don't. But to make it so tight and so I mean, we use mortar to this day. And many civilizations from Rome on up have used mortar. It's not, to use something like that, to create something like that and not use mortar and make it so tight, it almost have to be poured or molten lava. And I don't know. It's how do you explain this? Oops, I screwed up. Hold on. I hit end by accident. Go back. What was it? Right here.
I wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat because I can't type or nothing, but all my friends and foes.
Yeah, this one's curved around. It's actually a corner.
Those are great pictures.
Look how tight this is. I mean, it's unbelievable. And here, you can see the difference between this construction and that construction.
Yeah, because I had read, I think after it was found in 1911, they begin to rebuild it, and they up above, and they rebuilt about 60 to 70% of it, and it's not the old technique. It's all what you see was Chris pointed out earlier.
And look at this, and there's layers of it. So, and that's just incredible. Every bit of it's got that marshmallow look. That's incredible. So
in the fact that 7,000, almost 8,000 feet high.
Yeah. And granted, that's been taken from miles away. It's not even local. So that's the ones in Peru we're looking at. Italy's got some stuff that's pretty similar. Turkey, it's not quite as clean, but it's very tight and similar. It's got that tetra almost look to it. And Egypt, look at these stones. They look real similar, real tight. The base of the pyramids are made with the same kind of technology. When you go up, it looks different, and the base has that same look. So that's kind of our segue there. And I'm going to let Stainless Stones take over. Do some more. Some of this is his stuff.
Yeah, that's a late 1800s, early 1900s photo of the Sphinx. And as you can see, the sand is up to the shoulders. Not quite what we see today. I think Napoleon actually visited that when it was still in that position. So
yeah, he shot the nose off with the cannonball.
Yeah, he probably did.
That's what they say.
So there's a lot of different things about the Sphinx. They said it really, really is a lot older than, we'll see it in some upcoming slides. It's really a lot older than the pyramids itself. Because once they took all that sand away, you could see the body itself, and the weathering on the body on those stones is totally foreign to anything around kind of that area. And they think it's from rain. That's been pretty much definitely targeted as being correct. It's a water erosion. And how does water, it's in an area where it's been dry, just so that kind of points to the fact that the Sphinx itself is older, and it would have been there when it was not tropical, but more green, before the Sahara Desert actually took place. So how old does that make it?
Really
Yeah.
old.
Tell me when you want to do the slide.
All right,
And I'll
you
move
can
it.
go to the next one, see what it is. Yeah,
So
that's
this is
another
where I guess
picture
they
there.
started
But
digging it out.
yeah, there's the front right paw of the Sphinx. And then right in the middle, you can see the top of like a little stone there. That's actually a tablet with some inscriptions that was put there by one of the pharaohs that came, later in the next dynasty. And I think I can probably say at this point that there's a lot of speculation and conjecture that the face of the Sphinx itself was not a pharaoh to begin with. Some people said it was the head of a lion, and that the lion is facing the constellation of Leo in the sky, and they did the math backwards, and they said since things shift over time, that it's actually looking in the area where it would have been way back when. The paws here look different than they look today. They really rebuilt that, and from what I can see on the pyramid, it's totally different construction. I don't know if this stuff had fallen apart after they did all this, but they also said that this was carved out of bedrock, so it's not like
Correct.
they brought pieces in. They carved that out of solid stone on the plateau itself.
Mm-hmm. Except for the head, I heard that they put the head up there separately. That's what I read somewhere.
Yeah,
That
I
all
think.
this was carved in, but this was actually placed up there.
Yeah, so if they had made a Sphinx pharaoh head for a pharaoh who probably said, "I want my face up there," they would have cut away what was there and added what they needed to. But they said that it was originally thought to be the Leo the lion, and other people said it was that that black dog you see in a lot of the hieroglyphics. I think he's called Anubis, Anubis,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things they say about that. And there is actually a couple doors that go into the Sphinx, and it's been said that it's been said that there is a hall of records under the Sphinx itself. I've heard years ago that there was a flying craft down there, and the Egypt government and all the authorities really won't let anybody down there to see what was down there, or they could have taken everything out, and put it under seal. But that's some of the things that they say go on there, and there's definitely tunnels under it.
Yeah. Next one. This is an overview, it looks like, of how it used to look, I think. And
I believe that the river, they had a channel coming in off the Nile that's no longer there, but it would have made it easier to bring the blocks in. And some of the theories, if you want to say that they use slaves to do it, if you take a look at the pyramid there, in order to pull those big stones up, they would need a ramp a mile long I think they said 13 degrees, because it's not possible to pull them up there. They said they used those big sledges, or like those old sleds, wood sleds, and they would wet the sand in front of the sled to make it go easier. That's one of the theories of it. But to get those blocks up and put them in position, and like they said, that they didn't have the wheel. They did have copper tools apparently, but the other thing is, someone said they did have the wheel because they used to throw pottery on a wheel. You know, I think they had that technology back then. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they have the wheel? If they
Yeah,
can do
I'm
all
sure
this,
that.
they, you
Yeah.
know, they can do that stuff. And the other theory is, and it might be a little bit out there. They said that they used sound vibrations to move those stones, and it's not too far fetched, because you see in some of the hieroglyphics they show them with the tuning fork. And who's to say that they can't move that stuff? I mean, there's so much technology that's been lost.
Yeah, that's just
Because
true.
we
I
do
mean, I
know.
showed on my last show that the frequencies can actually levitate weight, right? I mean, if it's the
Did you
right,
do the thing with
right
with,
frequency.
with the sound in the
Yep.
sand?
Yep.
Yeah. See, it's all vibration. Everything is vibration. Tesla even said it.
I don't think humans
Mhm.
built the pyramids.
I agree with you on that one, because even if it was a mile long ramp, right, that gets it up here. But what about the top, right? How did they get them all the way up? These things are 450 to 80 feet high,
Yeah.
and
So
they're
the mainstream
up to
the mainstream
60 to 80 tons.
theory is they were built as crypts are for the kings. And they have found sarcophaguses in there. I guess the one they had got in the big pyramid of Khufu was empty. So either people got in there and took all the stuff out, or it was never used. And you have like this certain, I'm getting a little bit off track, but within the pyramid itself, when it was built, it was the tallest structure built by man, and it stayed that way for 3,800 years until king the king what the heck's it called? It's a place in London. They built a tower in London. It became the lot tallest after that. I think it's called the Church of Lincoln or something to that effect. But there's
I'm not sure about that one.
3 chambers in there. There's the king's chamber up above. There's the queen's chamber, a little lower, and above the king's chamber is like a baffle setup. And people think it was used. Also, they can use it for energy. They could get energy out of that thing because of the quartz crystal that's within the black granite that they brought in. Gives off certain things, and then you have the limestone, and there was supposedly water underneath. So all those things together can create electricity. But I don't know. I mean, did the people on the other end have devices? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
it's
interesting
interesting.
fact, we were talking before the show, like this cap. I never really knew what that cap was. Go ahead and explain it, Stan.
Yeah, that's
what
the
this part
remnants
is.
of the last coating they put on there of the limestone. So there's 2 kinds of limestone. There's the big, huge limestone blocks which were quarried right in that area, not too far away, and then the capping limestone was brought in. I got it written down here. I think it was like 300 miles away. So they brought those in, and they were perfectly cut. And then the interior is those big, huge, heavy granite blocks where they're brought up the river by 600 miles. I don't know. It's just it's mind-boggling.
So this cap, basically, it was literally covering the whole entire pyramid, and smooth and even white in nature, and it's
It
since
was.
deteriorated, and that part's fallen off and revealing the
Yeah.
stones underneath of the block.
I believe all 3 of them were bright white, and they said that they were stripped off and used in different places in Cairo or whatnot. But that then it left the other limestone in there, which can erode and do all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got
So there's
read
2.5
someone's estimate of
million
9
blocks
smaller
of
pyramids.
limestone. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of lines. So that's what I think the biggest one is about 2.5 million blocks,
Yeah,
right?
and the other thing is it's not a four-sided pyramid. It's actually eight sides. It's kind of like an optical illusion, but there is a midpoint on each side where it kind of has a little bit of a I don't want to say bend, but it just kind of refracts back.
Hmm.
So it says
Yeah,
it's 480 feet high, the big pyramid, and each base thing is 740 feet wide,
we'll go
and
back to
the
that.
angles are 52 degrees.
That's crazy. How big they are. 2.5 million blocks.
And then the other
I
thing,
think
if you believe that, like, Grizz thinks, possibly humans didn't even build this, but they said how many people would it? They said it would have took 100,000 people 27 years to build this, and it's a lot of people to feed.
Yeah, quite a bit.
yeah. And there's even a lot of buried kind of tombs. There's a smaller pyramids, or even some missing pyramids that they say they're still digging for and looking for. There's a lot still to be discovered there. Maybe they built these smaller ones back in the day, trying to
So
replicate the big ones. I almost wondered if that's the case there. But
I see Audacious Amber said that they were giants that built it.
I would think that's possible, more possible, right? So here's a slide for you there, Stan. What's
Yeah.
this one?
So what we have here is the early pyramids on the far left. That's called the Bent Pyramid. That's in Saqqara, I believe. And then the one to the right is called the Red Pyramid. Now those predate Khufu's pyramid on the Giza Plateau. So the one in the middle with the big, you can see the little white cutout. The thing that's going up horizontally is the grand hall there, and the top thing is the king's chamber, and it has like these chevron built granite V's that are stacked on top of each other in some manner, and some say it's to take the weight off it, help with the weight redistribution on or whatever. But other people say it's used in conjunction with the power that's created from the pyramid itself,
Yeah, energy.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And you can see in there, you can see those little air shafts there, they call them, that they've explored. And that was a big question to what are those little things. And some of them don't go all the way out to the exterior. Some of them do. But I guess once they opened up one or two of those shafts to the outside, which they could have been originally, the whole temperature of the king's chamber came down nice and cool, and it was getting a breeze.
Hmm. Yeah, it might equalize the pressure on it too. You would think.
So I think that Khafara's pyramid is the son of Khufu. He had built one himself.
Yeah, that one's slightly smaller. I think it's like 2.2 million blocks. Not
Penny,
much. It's
I
pretty
think Penny
close.
Van just said that mercury was found on the walls inside there.
I
That
never
could be
heard that. That's
true,
interesting.
because we
You got any more on
know
this one? Or?
mercury. They say mercury's been used in gravitational things. Go ahead. You can go up to the next one.
All right. This one's a two-part slide because it was such an eye chart. I kind of split it in half. So half is on one screen and half's on another. So you said you had some dynasty stuff on.
Yeah, let me
You
just
want to talk
find that.
about?
Yeah, so it kind of breaks down into like three pyramids: the Old Kingdom, 27th century BC, The Middle Kingdom was 21st century BC, and the New Kingdom was 16th century BC. We're talking, thousands and thousands of years. And the early pyramids, like we talked about, the bent pyramid and the other one I think they were in the early dynastic period in the Old Kingdom, and they built pyramids for quite a bit. I can't really see the slide that well, but I know there's so many. It's broken down into so many periods. It's incredible, and there's so many pharaohs that have ruled there. And then once they kind of lost their strength, you had other people move in. The Europeans coming in and the Persians, and there's so much mystery to it. There's more questions than answers. Some people theorize that when Atlantis was breaking up, those people came into Egypt and did a lot of this. Some went to the Middle East, and some went to South America with the technology, and that's why you find the pyramids both in South America, actually North America, and over there. Because who's to say that there wasn't an Atlantis and they had pyramids and power there? They were using crystals supposedly for energy, and they could have taken that and went to each continent. And you're not going to cross a huge ocean because it took up so much of the Atlantic.
Yeah, makes sense. Here's a little bit of an overview. I kind of like this one because it's got the Sphinx. It shows how small the Sphinx is. That's the Khufu's. That's the biggest one. Smallest. They also say this is in the shape of a constellation of something. I can't remember.
Orion. Yeah.
Orion. Yeah.
Yeah. They say it aligns to the Orion's belt, which is up in the Milky Way there. I heard it does line up and it doesn't line up, but
some quick fun facts here. So the Khufu, the biggest one, is 2.3. It's a guesstimation. Some say 2.5 million blocks. Some blocks estimated 80 tons, which is 176,000 over pounds, which weighs over 7 school buses for one block. 7 school buses.
I don't think we have any machinery that can lift that, correct?
Not that I know of.
Right.
That's pretty heavy. It'd have to be something very, very serious. 40 tons. So if you took even half of that, say the smaller blocks, 40 tons at 200 or 2.3 million blocks, you're looking at 92 million tons, which is 184 billion pounds. And that turns into 7.67 million school buses to build.
So they said that pyramid was built
one pyramid.
27 years, and it would have been like around the clock, getting things into place. It was just like a non-stop event, unless they had, like I said, the ability to move stones with vibration. They could move them.
So yeah, the total between and adding the other pyramids with it, you're looking at 4.7 million blocks, and yes, that's over 15 million school buses. So I kept with the theme there. So this is out of the pyramids now and onto Mystery Hill. Go ahead, Stan, take it away.
Yeah, this is kind of more of my, I don't want to say wheelhouse, but I'm interested in a lot of the North American oddities as far as chambers go. So I've been to this place a couple times. This is in New Hampshire. It's called Mystery Hill. They call it America's Stonehenge. So I'll just read from here. It says 4 miles east on Route 3 is a privately owned complex of strange stone structures bearing similarities to early stonework found in Western Europe, which is true. They suggest that ancient culture may have existed here more than 2,000 years ago. Some call it America's Stonehenge. These intriguing chambers hold a fascinating story and could be remnants of a pre-Viking or even Phoenician civilization. That being said, I do know that the course of the river there, the Merrimack, was a lot closer, apparently, to this area. It changed course at some time. and that it was also, I don't want to say looted, but a lot of the stone was pulled off this site, and it was used in construction in neighboring towns and cities. It sat. One, I think it was an old timer had owned that forever, and he kind of knew what was going on there, and he held on to it, and then a guy bought it, and he kind of turned it into I don't want to say tourist thing, but a historical thing. And now it's been protected for quite a long time. But within the hill, Mystery Hill, the stone structures there, they also have a calendar site. Whereas I'm talking about standing stones, north, south, east, west. And they usually, in all these chambers in most of them in New England and up in the Hudson River Valley, the chambers are aligned at the entrance to receive the sun on either the summer solstice or the winter solstice. And there's ones that align to the setting sun also. And this is also over in Europe. They've done this. It's a given over there. So it's kind of hard to see this, but these are all alignment points. And I think those little black diamond type things around the perimeter, those are actually standing stones there.
Yeah.
Now, I've been to this place a couple times, and a lot of it's missing, but they have certain chambers they have there. You can go in. There's what they call a sacrifice table there. They thought it was for bloodletting because it's a big flat horizontal laying stone, but around the perimeter of the stone is etched like a little channel with a drip off. I think we might have a picture of that, but
yeah, I don't know what order it's in. I just kind of put them in the order you gave me. So this is one of the catacombs or chambers?
That's one of the chambers. I don't know if I was in that one. I get a couple of different pictures of. So no, that's stone Mystery Hill. That picture there, the prior one. This is also Mystery Hill. I couldn't find a lot of the good pictures that go inside. But they have a thing, they call it the ear box. So they think that people, when they did their whatever they were doing there, rituals, they would speak through this hole, like a little channel from another part of the complex, and tell them to do something like, so they were hearing it from outside their realm in there. But a lot of this has all been taken away.
Is this
outside
of it?
No, this actually is a different place. This is another place I went. This is in Western Massachusetts. It's called Burnt Hill. It's in Heath, Massachusetts, up in the hill country, going up towards Vermont. And these are all alignment stones there. And it's on a barren outcrop. And the whole area around there is stone with like moss and everything. But what they do there is they grow low bush blueberries. We used to go up there and get blueberries, by the gallon, and then give them to our friends. Excuse me. But you could order them. There's a Benson's Farm there, and there's another place. But the first time I went up there, I was able to walk right up in there, and then somebody bought the property, and then you couldn't go up there. Excuse me.
Back to Mystery Hill?
No, that is actually South Woodstock, Vermont. Now, I was there. Now, I have a book called America BC by Barry Pell. That's the book that got me into a lot of this stuff. Excuse me. And this is another stone structure, a chamber that could very well have been built, if you believe it, around 750 AD. Because they do think that a lot of Celts come over here from Ireland and different places like that. Excuse me. And it's the exact same structure as you find over in Normandy, France, and England. It's the exact same thing. And the front door of this is orientated to the rising sun on December 21st. And in the back of the chamber, there was a piece of quartz that would light up when the sun hit it. And it's all symbolic for them. So when I found this place, excuse me, I had the book and I was into this stuff. So we were on vacation up there in Vermont. My wife, my daughter, her little girlfriend, and so we were out doing the tourist thing. It's like a tourist area. Queechee Gorge is there. So I went into this trailer that was like, local information, blah, blah, blah. So I walked in there and there was a really old woman there. I said, I'm looking for this thing called the South Woodstock Chamber. And she like took her glasses off and looked up and she goes, you're like the second person in 3 years I've worked here that's asked about that. And she goes, I don't know a whole lot, but let me make a phone call. So she called this other woman who told me kind of where it was, like down the road. So I took off with my wife and my daughter and her friend. And I went down looking for it and I couldn't find it. I was having trouble. And then I saw a postman with a rural post office. So I asked him and he said, it's up that dirt road way at the top on the left. And he said kids were going in there drinking. So I went up there and I saw it from the road. I walked over, but there was guys there putting the fence up. Someone else had just bought this property, but I was able to get in there. I took some photographs. There's other outlying structures there that are long gone. You can see the cellar hole type things. Now people write this off to be Native American built, but I think it predates that to quite a bit. I know they did build in stone, but not like this. And there was another standing stone a little bit further down the road. Right now, I don't think you can get in there. So that's an old picture from the New England See, this picture actually is in one of the books I have. This is two of the old researchers, Byron Dix and the other fellow I can't think of. They're from the New England Society for this stuff. You could just see the size of those lentil blocks. They were huge. So I took photos inside and outside this particular place here. And so those guys are probably close to 6. So this is another chamber. This is in I was there about 5 or 6 months ago, maybe 5 months, and it's in Upton, Massachusetts. It's called a beehive chamber, and these are found over in Ireland and the UK, and it's the exact same structure. So what we're looking at is the entrance here is facing the setting sun on the summer solstice. And if you can walk, you can kind of like hunch down and go in there about maybe 15, 20 feet. And then it opens up into a big beehive chamber in there. And you can stand up, but it was all wet. And the construction there, it's all dry construction. It's all built up like a beehive, if you know what I'm talking about.
Who made those?
This is, again, the Celts around 700 AD, 800 AD. They built this stuff, and we do know that the history we're told is not right. And we do know that in 1382, well before Columbus came over, Sinclair came over up through Nova Scotia and down into Massachusetts. And his stories and some things left behind by him and it's called the Westford Stone. It was carved into one of the stones because there was a guy, Gunn, who was the sergeant that protected him. He got killed by one of the Indians. So before they left the area, they carved the guy's shield, his coat of arms, in the knight's helmet on the stone. And that's in Westford, Massachusetts.
Interesting. That's like the beehive that you're talking about.
Exactly. Up. That's the middle picture, Chris, is someone standing up inside. The construction is like a beehive, and it's all rock on rock, and it's covered with soil now and earth. And why did they build these? So I'll tell you one other thing that happened is I brought my camera in there, and I took some photos. I had the flash, but when I went to do the movie thing on my camera, as soon as I slowly pushed the button down, I saw orbs coming, floating up from the bottom of the chamber. I saw 2 or 3 of them.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was all about, but they were orbs.
Interesting.
So that's kind of stuff that interests me. And I took that photo there. That's looking out from the chamber.
I think that was it for that slideshow. Let's see.
There's so much to get into. I mean, I have a friend, Derek, who knows this stuff inside and out. I'm sorry, I'm coughing. I get a dry throat. I should have got a cough drop, but yeah, he knows all that stuff about the Bridgewater Triangle and all these stone structures. Because I was at a kind of like a paranormal event years ago through Spooky South Coast, which was a radio show I used to listen to every Saturday night. So they had this big hall rented. They had vendors. They had Coleman was there, Nick Redford. There's a whole bunch of people showed up, and they had booths and stuff. It was at night. It was a great time.
Nice. You mentioned the city of Atlantis earlier, and I wanted to show you something. I don't know if you've seen it or not before, but let me pull up my screen here again. You probably have, but now a lot of people know it, have the idea of what city of Atlantis looks like, right? You get that circular city with the water running all around.
Yeah.
That's kind of the general conception of it. If you go to, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's pretty interesting.
Well, that could be the city of Atlantis, but the other thing is it was a continent, so that could have been within the continent itself. And what they say about that is, and I heard Mark say it. Grizzly had Mark on, and he spoke about, and something I had heard also, that they had huge crystals there they use for energy and power on Atlantis, and something happened to it, and it caused a huge explosion.
So in the Sahara Desert,
yep,
East Africa, there's this thing called the Eye of the Sahara. And if you continue to zoom in, it gives you that feel. And there's different pictures, I think. Let's see if I can pull one up. But you almost
think a comet hit it, right?
You get that feel of all the circularness to it. Some people speculate that this might be the old Atlantis or lost city of Atlantis. But
I did hear that. But the other thing was, I think it was the Greek Solon heard it from another ancient historian there, that it was at outside the Pillars of Hercules, and some people think it's the Strait of Gibraltar is that.
Yep, I've heard that too.
And other people theorize that it was just off Greece.
It's a lot of speculation. They say there used to be a river that ran through here. It's all dried up, but you can see how it flows. But that could be wind erosion too, right? I mean, there's a lot of speculations. But yeah, I heard Gibraltar, and I've heard in here too, somewhere in the what was this, the Red Sea?
Yeah, so the Sahara Desert wasn't always dry like that. Something had happened over the course of time where it dried out.
Yeah, so thought that was an interesting thing I've seen pop up. So anyway,
wonderful, guys.
Mr. Stan, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope I didn't screw up too bad.
No, everybody really enjoyed it, they said. So
I couldn't see I couldn't see anybody in the chat, and I was lucky actually to get this whole thing rolling. Chris is like my coach.
No, it was great.
It worked out. I had a good time. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And everybody from coast to coast around the world, good night. We'll catch you on tomorrow's show. Thank you, Standing Stones.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Good night.